Well, good morning, my friends. So it is the Friday before Mother's Day. And yesterday I did a tribute to my mother, whom was called from labor to reward last year on April 8th, 2020. And today I am going to give a tribute to the another woman who was uh, instrumental in my life, and that is my wife, Makiba Denise Ruff, who was called from labor to reward this year, February 16th. And so I am going to try and get through this uh, because she deserves it. And we're going to focus on a couple of scriptures today that I think um, express who Makiba was. But first, I just want to give a basic overview of this woman whom I had the pleasure of being married to for 23 years, who was the mother of our children, who was my wife, but most importantly, who was a daughter of the king. Uh, we met because we both worked at UPS, and that would have been right around 1996. And my wife, when she first met me, she didn't like me. She thought I was arrogant. Might have been some truth to that. She thought that I was in a fraternity. There was no truth to that. And I just rubbed her the wrong way initially. But over time, I won her over. And the moment I won her over, she was dealing with a family member. I don't remember the family member, but a family member in Mississippi had passed away, and I told her I would be praying for her. And what for whatever reason that won her over, and we were truly friends before our relationship went deeper. We were friends with each other. Makiba went through a transformation in her life in some ways, and in other ways, she remained the same person. The person that I met at UPS uh, was kind and loving. She was the type of person who would always be there for you, and she remained that way throughout her life. She was also a person who could use, how shall we say, uh, colorful language. Uh, and I will say that many who know her knew when she worked at Chrysler, her nickname was Church Lady. And the reason they called her Church Lady, because I'm not in ministry at this point, but they called her Church Lady because she was so kind and she was so loving, and if you asked her a question, she was going to tell you the truth. She was going to be straight up with you. But if you got on her wrong side, you would hear some of that colorful language. And so anyone who is has been a part or grew up in an African American church knows we had that lady in our church, and so that was her nickname. When we got married initially, there were some issues, and mainly it was because my wife and I are both only children. We're both used to our own space, and I will take a greater responsibility for those issues because I was still attempting to live a single life being married. I didn't feel like I needed to, like, if I was going to stay out late, you trust me. I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't need to. I don't need to check in with you. This was the immaturity of a 25-year-old man who was single before that and who was an only child. But we were able to get through that. And I can tell you, I have zero doubts, zero, about the fact that my wife deeply loved me and loved our children. Not only did she tell us every day, but she went out of her way to show us. She didn't have, for a large period of the time we were married, she wasn't 100% healthy. She had issues with fibromyalgia. She had issues with diabetes. She had issues with her blood pressure. But even when she wasn't having the best day, she would go out of her way to make sure that her family knew that she loved them. She went out of her way to let me and our children, to let her mother, all of us know that we were loved by her. She was, in every way for me, a wonderful woman and the perfect wife for me. She was truly a blessing. So I want to look at a couple of scriptures that I think help to describe her. And the first one is a common one. It is Psalm 31. A wife of noble character. And it starts out, a wife of noble character. And I will say that Makeba indeed was a wife of noble character. I trusted her. And there were things that I trusted her with, and things that she knew about me that, if she were not of noble character, could have been problematic. But she was indeed a wife of noble character. A wife of noble character who can find. She is worth far more than rubies. Yes, and I would say that for me, Makeba was worth more than rubies, more than gold, more than anything else. Not only was she, for me, the perfect wife, she was the perfect pastor's wife. You see, the thing to understand about me is I'm a natural introvert. And at times, I can still, to this day, at 47 years old, be socially awkward. But my wife was the social butterfly. And because of her, I was and am, even to this day, a better pastor. She was the one who helped me to see those blind spots that I might have had. She was the one that would say, I know that maybe right now you don't feel like going to that social gathering, but you need to be there. Oh, she was definitely worth more than any ruby, more than any gold coin, more than any $1 million lottery winning. I am a better pastor. I am a better father. I am a better man, in part because of her. Yes, because of other people in my life. We'll get into my dad on Father's Day, but because of her, I am a better Franklin than I would be had she not been a part of my life. And so verse 11 is so true about my feelings for her. Her husband is full of confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. I was totally confident in my wife. I was totally confident in Makeba. You know, one of the things that happened early on is I would always introduce her as my wife. And early on, she would say, you know, I have a name. But what she came to understand is, yes, she has a name and she had an identity, but she came to understand what I was saying and the pride that I personally felt to be able to call her my wife. She brings good to him and not harm. All the days of her life, and she did that. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. And boy, did she provide food. I often say that I got out of the army, one of the biggest army. Wow. My Navy buddies are going to get me for that one. I got out of the Navy and I was in great shape. And then what did I do? I married a woman who had roots from Mississippi and could cook. And it was all downhill from there. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. I would say for Makiba, for my wife, her lamp has not gone out yet. Her lamp will continue to shine. Her lamp will continue to shine through me. Her lamp will continue to shine through her children. Her lamp will continue to shine through her mother. Her lamp will continue to shine through all of those lives that she has touched and people who knew that she loved them. She opens her arms to the poor and not only the financially poor, but Makiba had this way about her. I told you I'm an introvert. But she had this way about her that we could be waiting in line at Walmart or at McDonald's or someplace, and people would come up and they would just start talking to her. And by the time everything was over, we knew that person's life story. I've been standing in a bookstore and and my wife has looked at the cashier and say, it seems like you're having a bad day. And all of a sudden the cashier opens up and just pours herself out to Makiba. And at the end, they pray together. And then she tells her, I'm going to be praying for you. So yeah, I would say she opened her arms to the poor, but she opened her arms to anyone who was in need. She extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes a covering for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gates, where the task, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. And I will say this: one of the songs that I feel speaks to my wife is Wind Beneath My Wings. As a pastor, I'm out front a lot. I'm seen a lot. And she was more than content to be the one in the background, the one who actually made sure that everything was done the way that it should be done, the one who made sure that I was prepared. She was the wind beneath my wings. Verse 24, she makes linen garments and sells them and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. Oh, yes, 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 I definitely. Makiba was a woman of strength. She was a woman of dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. And my wife did. She often spoke with a godly wisdom. I often tell the story about how when I got my first letter from a church here in Kansas, I didn't return it right away. And she asked me about it, and she said, well, why haven't you? And I said, well, you don't want to live in Kansas, and they don't know that I'm Black. And, you know, it's just not going to be a good fit. And my wife, in her wisdom, said, first, I'm going to live with you wherever you live, even if that's under a bridge. And I know she meant it. She said, they may not know you're Black, but they feel that you're qualified. And the most important thing she said is, you know, if this is to be, it'll be. If it's not to be, it won't be. Get out of the way and let God do his work. So yes, she did speak with wisdom. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. And my wife not only watched over the affairs of her own household, she helped others in their household. She helped others to make sure that bills got paid on time, and all of those things. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. And I hope that it's seen that that's what I'm doing now, is I'm taking this opportunity on these few days before Mother's Day to praise the woman who is the mother of my children, the woman who blessed my life. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gates. I do indeed honor the woman who blessed my life. Let's look at one more scripture. It comes from Proverbs 18:22. He who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. And finding Makeba, I found what was good, and I truly did receive favor from the Lord. For whatever reason, after 23 years, the Lord saw fit to call her from labor in this life to reward in the next. But I thank him for those 23 years of marriage, those 25 years that we knew each other. Because Makeba Denise Ruff, who was born Makeba Denise Battle, was truly a blessing, not only to me, not only to my children, but she was a blessing in the lives of many. She is and will be missed. For those of you who still have your mothers, and for those of you who have that mother of your children, that wife that you can hold tight to, let them know that they are appreciated and loved. And to all of you, very happy Mother's Day. God bless you.